Hi, I'm Graham from Second Era of Moles, and if you've clicked on this video accidentally, 90 seconds is all I ever ask. Welcome back to another week that was on Pokemon Masters X. It's been another busy one. We've had quite a few things going on this week. So we've had the Champion Stadium as always, we've had the end of the All Aboard the Victory train event, we've had the Rock Gear co-op event, we've also had a Rock Egg and Ground type Egg event come along. Very, very heavily focused on rocks, so someone's been doing their geology. We've had Moltres return in the Legendary Arena, and we've had a new event come along, which is the Beachside pop-up. They're calling it a rivalry. I don't know how much of a rivalry it actually is. I mean, those Team Breakthroughs didn't seem to know what was going on. And then for those of us that were a bit slow, we've had the Battle Villa as well. So let's get cracking and head into the Champion Stadium. So last week I was a bit pushed for time, and last week's video was a lot shorter than usual and it was a bit frenetic. But I think out of that I've kind of decided to go with a bit of a less is more approach to the Champion Stadium, rather than saying round by round, move by move, this is what you should be doing. Go for a more general. I tend to get too caught up in the details, so let's try and be a bit more focused on the overall feel of the strategies. Give them a nice feel. So for round one, your condition is a sync move stats boost, so the stats that are raised after a sync move are boosted even further. Usually this means it's a good idea to go in with at least one 6x support, maybe even two. That was my first thought. I tried to do that with Karen and Houndoom. That didn't work very well because Caitlin's Musharna has very high special defense, which means you really want to be going with a physical striker. My only physical dark type striker is Umbreon, and I haven't really powered up and learned how to use her yet, so I was very reluctant to do that. So I thought, okay, who's my best physical striker then? Who's my girl who's just got their 6x outfit? It's Olivia. Look at her. Look at how confident she is. I mean, damn girl! And so to go along with her, I drafted in Nanu with Persian. I thought we'll get a dark type in there as well. He's got Screech, that's going to lower defense. And then my 6x support was Hilbert. So because Hilbert is 6x, you sync with him first. Before that, you're using his trainer moves to raise stats. Olivia's powering herself off. Nanu is doing Screech. I would recommend doing at least one to the two sides. It's a Grumpig and Magus, maybe. And then after they've had one each, you go for Musharna to lower that defense on there. Then Olivia starts using Stone Edge and then comes up with the big sync move that finally hits everyone. Jesus wept, for there were no more worlds to conquer. The reason for that Screech onto one of them is because you might one-shot both of them with a normal sync move, but you just want to guarantee it so that you can focus down Musharna afterwards. There's no healer on this team, which is probably why I've got healing down 50% on. What you do want to try and do is get a flinch on Musharna after it's used Psychic Terrain. It's weird seeing that strategy come back to bite you, having used it with Bianca a couple of times. So Nanu has Bite, and that can cause flinching. If you do get that, that's going to give you another couple of moves to get in there with a couple more Stone Edges. It should only take a couple more after that sync move to take her down. And hopefully you'll topple her enormous hats and her even more enormous hair. I mean, Caitlin, what is going on with your... this? In round 2, any stats lowering that you do is going to be much more effective. I usually pick on the fighting types for this one, and this week is no exception. I chose to take on Marshall for this one, and my team was Dawn and Torterra for that attack siphon, and then because he's weak to flying types, you do Blue with Pidgeot and Rotom and Elacer. I've talked in the past how well those two link up. So Dawn is absolutely magnificent in this because she's lowering the other team's attack just through her passive moves. When she's making a move, she's raising defense. She's got the Good as New, which I don't think I needed to use because they weren't doing enough damage to me. And she's almost independent of what the other two are doing, because blue is raising accuracy for that sync node. The higher the accuracy, the more powerful the sync move. That works really well with breathtaking, which has a thing where it raises accuracy as well. And so you're just going to use sync moves, a lot of them, and a lot of hurricanes to bring it home. For round 3, you get a special attack reduction. I chose to take on Shauntal because I thought ghost types are special attacks, and she was weak to ground types, so I was like, I'm just going to brute force this one. And I mean brute force. So I used Cynthia and Garchomp. I used Archie and Groudon. Archie, Maxie, they're interchangeable. Don't beat me up too much for that one. And then I had Phoebe and Dusclops for her raising critical hit and her vigilance to protect from critical hits. And also her unbreakable bonds, because that raises attack, which is going to help your other two, and it recharges the move gauge, which is helpful when you're using Precipitous Blades, which is 4, and then Earthquake, which is a 3. But like I said, it's brute force. While you're powering Garchomp up, you're attacking with Groudon with Precipitous Blades and taking out the sides as much as you can. Phoebe's using trainer moves. The sync move comes with Cynthia and Garchomp because there's no 6x supports in there. And then after the sync move, you're just earthquaking away between all of the moves that have hit everyone. The side shouldn't do too much damage to you at all. Groudon's probably going to faint, just because, well, for me it did, because I don't have him leveled up all the way yet. But it didn't make much of a difference, because Garchomp was just like, huh, earthquake again. And I truly think that after that, the next book that Shauntal writes is going to be How I Got My Ass Kicked by 2 massive ground types. And in your last battle with the Elite Four, that's round 4, I had Grimsley left. The condition was don't let any of your sync pairs faint. Usually I'd go with Blastoise on this one, but I thought, you know what, my grass types are pretty good, so I went with Brendan, Meganium, and Leaf and Venusaur. Leaf is tanking there, it's difficult to take her down with her potions and with her mega healing. Meganium can be a bit grassy, that's why she's the second target. You're protecting her a little bit. She's sinking first to get the sun going, which is going to help her with healing and speed and sunny side up. Brendan, I would suggest using his direct hit plus first, so you've got move gauge to use on either Razor Leaf or Light Shield, and then he's powering himself up, and then when he's fully powered up it's Leaf Storm all the way. As usual, I save Mega Healing for after the sync move. I always feel it's more useful just to make sure that you can get your second sync move in before they get their first one in. The main problem with this one is move bar usage, because Venusaur's trainer moves are either potions or Mega Healing, and they're very situational. You can't just use them whenever you feel like it. Similar sort of thing to Sunny Side Up, so you've got to be a bit smart about it and think, right, okay, if I use an energy ball here with Meganium, for example, am I going to be able to use a Razor Leaf as well? And what does that mean for Brendan? Does that mean that he has to use a trainer move? So it's just sort of thinking ahead, how much bar am I going to have? Am I going to be able to use a Leaf Storm? And where does that mean with the other two? But if you're as smart as me, and smarter, which I'm sure most of you are, this shouldn't be too much of a problem, and you can move on to the champion round. And this week in round 5, that honour goes to Champion Iris. So her permanent condition is a special attack boost, and then the optional parameter I chose to go with that was don't let any of your sync pairs faint. This time I did use Blue and Blastoise for that team endurance that comes from his sync move. And to go with him I chose Serperia and Bee as my fighting type striker. I was reading somewhere people were asking who's the best support to go with Bee, and someone said that it was probably Leaf and Eevee, and reading through I was like, actually yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because the main stats that B needs it can raise by itself, and the ones it kind of needs you would get from Eevee's sync move. So maybe that would be a better team to go in with. I'm not entirely sure why I put Superior in there. I think it was mainly for the move gauge boost, but hey, it worked out in the end, so it wasn't the worst move in the world. When I've got B on my team, I always make sure that her first move is an attack, get that Meteor Assault in there, because it's going to allow you to, the move gauge is going to recharge when you're using other trainer moves. Blastoise is raising defense, Superior is raising special attack, which doesn't really help B in this case. And then you're using the trainer moves to ensure that her speed is as high as possible, her attack is as high as possible. Blue sinks first, then uses to the top after its sync move. That's going to help even more with that move gauge refilling. And because Meteor Assault is so powerful, you can afford to hit the side first, hit the other side, and they're just normal attacks, and you can save up that big sync move for down the middle and take out Iris and her dragons and be like, thought you knew the heart of dragons. Why didn't you see my pointy leaf sword going into the heart of your dragon, eh? Eh? And there it is, another 7,500 point run. After the first round against Caitlin, I found this week to be quite easy and enjoyable. It was a bit like, hey, I can use some of my favourite pairs, I can test out a few new strategies, I can get some big hits in there. I love the big hits. But hopefully you're joining me on this glorious platform. You're doing, And next week we'll still be in Unova. I'm thinking of maybe doing full-on stall conditions next week to show how you can use poison in different ways and contrast them against each other. So let me know what you think about that. So quick word on the Battle Villa, which I finished off this week. I stumbled onto a pretty good team of Skylar and Swanna, seems like she's always there, and B, and then Serena. So Serena has Hypnosis and Go Viral, which puts everyone to sleep. That's really useful because it means that you can allow the move gauge to recharge. You don't necessarily have to use as many trainer moves, and then B hits really hard with Meteor Assault and with its sync move, so works pretty well all round. The rock type egg event is on at the moment. Make sure to use up as many of your skip tickets as you need. There's a couple of pretty nice rewards in there. Possibility of getting some shiny Pokemon too. I got a shiny Cubone. I like that. The Beachside Rivalry event has just launched, and I'm recording it on the day it's come out, so I've not got into it too much. I thought the story was okay. Bit of a letdown after some of the good ones that we've had recently. It feels like it's a story that's been told many times in this game already. It's like, oh, I'm not good enough, oh. And then someone else says, you just need to believe in yourself and have a Pokemon battle. And then they do it and it's like, now I'm much more confident with who I am. It's like, seen it before. But in next week's video I'll post how I got through the battle challenges, so tune in for that. And then finally, Moltres has made its debut in the Legendary Arena. I know I said earlier that it was returning, that was a mistake on my part, but this is the first time it's been in there, so there's no additional challenges, it's just do it with less than 30, less than 15 and less than 12. For level 1 and level 2, I just used the same team. It was Acerola, Kukui and Olivia, showing off my girls 6x again, and it was reasonably easy. The first level 1 I did it with just those 3. Level 2 I think I needed a couple more pairs because I got a bit into some weird strategies that didn't work like I thought they would. But for level 3 you do need to be a bit wiser and a bit more on the ball. I'm going to say at this point the thing that is absolutely key is changing the weather away from sunny. You won't be able to use it to your advantage because it makes Moltres too powerful, so you've got to either set sandstorm, hail or rain. So remember, with Moltres this week, it's sun's out, guns out. So for my first team I had Winona setting the rain with Rain Dance. The good thing is once it's set, it's permanent until Moltres changes it again. I had Palkia as my striker, and I had Skylar as my support, healer, general, awesome lady. It's a little bit grindy because it's off type, but Hydro Pump can still do a lot of damage. I don't really have any other rock types that I trust to go as my main striker. I know you've got Tyranitar and you've got Rampardos with Rock, but Rampardos is just going to do one hit and then take itself out with Recoil, so a little bit useless. But it was working quite well, and I got it down into the second bar. You'll see it's like 73%. It was more than that, but I forgot that the sun would reset and I wasn't in there quick enough to reset the rain, and Moltres got healing from the sun, and I was like, God damn it, that's like 5k you've just restored from one attack. It was kind of ridiculous, but hey, it meant that I had to get in there with my second team. I went in there with May as my rain setter, and then Barry as my striker, because, you know, water type. What are you going to do other than use Barry, especially when Palkia's already fainted? So it was just a case of set rain, drop the Barry bomb, and power through. I was a little bit more prepared when it got down to the end of the bar to set rain again. I wasn't 100% fully on it, so I think Moltres had like a couple of moves where it still had sun. It will also reset sun after its sync move when it's down to less than 50%, so be wary of that as well. I wasn't, and I'd already declared an attack, and I think it had a couple of rounds before I reset it, and I was lucky because it left Barry with a little bit of health, which was enough to carry it through. But if I'd have been more on the ball, I'd have had more health, and it would have been a lot easier, and I'd have done even more damage on the third bar. And then when it came to the final team, so I did it with 9, I made sure that Acerola was in there to set Sandstorm, and then Olivia was in there as well as damage dealer, so she was doing Stone Edge, she was hitting hard. I think after one sync move she was doing 19k damage with it, which was very, very nice to see. I was so happy for the girl. And I don't think any of my final 3 fainted, which was good, so hopefully, like me, you'll be getting that nice shiny Moltres medal. You'll see Moltres going down all sad like. That's one thing I do like about the Legendary Arena. You can't just go with the same tactics every time. You have to be a little bit aware of how it's going to work. So like this one was weather. You had one previously that was status conditions. And it's just interesting to see how like the different mechanics of the game can come to the fore in different ways. So I like that. But thank you for joining me for the week that was. I think it was another good week, and we've now got 3-star gear, so hopefully we'll be getting more of that in the future as well, and our units will be even more powerful. But you're well past the 90-second mark at this point, so thank you very much and congratulations. Since you put all that work in, you might as well take it a little bit further. You can follow me on Twitter, I'm SEOM_YT. You can subscribe to the channel for future videos in the Pokemon Masters Week That Was series. But for now, they're the week that will be. But thank you very much for watching this one, and goodbye.